Welcome back, everyone. Well, as you probably well know, we're very interested in politics, and we're always interested in introducing you to candidates who are running in our community, so you can get to know them and you can get to know what they stand for. And let's face it, you've also heard me say many times that this is one chaotic election year. Well, joining me today is Steve Ruzbacki. Steve is running in the 45th Senate District on the Green Party ticket, right? So Steve, welcome. Very nice to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here, Jesse.
Good. Steve and I had a wonderful conversation right prior to this interview, and I was kind of taken with Steve's interest in politics, and I always ask candidates, because I think it's very courageous to run for office, why are you running?
Well, I'm running because I really feel an obligation to do something for our communities. I think we have a lot of issues that aren't being dealt with, and the more I learn about them, the more I feel compelled to do something about them.
I got it. Now, your background is in engineering, you were telling me, right?
That's correct.
Well, that certainly uses one side of your brain, right?
Yes, indeed.
So there must be a lot of logical conclusions of things that you've worked on that sort of, you're putting pieces of a puzzle together, right?
That's right, that's right. And I think, we do live in a complex society, and I've always been interested in looking at the big picture and whole systems, and the more I learn, the more I become convinced we need to step outside of the two-party paradigm we're in, so we can actually address these problems.
Yeah, got it. That's a good lead in for the next thing. Why the Green Party?
Well, the Green Party primarily because I feel that as the only party which refuses to take corporate contributions, that we're really the anti-corruption party. Because if you're voting for Democrat or voting for Republican, you're voting for someone who's advancing corporate interests, which aren't necessarily our interests.
Now, the 45th District, it's quite a footprint. You're taking in Clinton, Franklin, I think it's Essex, Warren County, and part of Washington County, right?
Yep, and a bit of St. Lawrence as well.
Well, I hope you got good shoes there, Steve. This is you got a lot of ground to cover. Also, a very formidable opponent. Betty Little running on the Republican ticket, very well, highly regarded in that district, running unopposed on the other sort of, as you would call it, corporate ticket, the Democrat ticket. So that's really kind of a formidable task for you.
At the same time, voters haven't had a choice in recent election cycles. And, I can only speak for myself, but to go to the voting booth and have one choice, that doesn't seem very democratic to me. So, and I frankly don't put a whole lot of faith in polls. I think if I can get my message out, I think I've got a good shot.
Oh, that's well said, Steve. And also, I think dovetails the courageous part of running for office. This morning, the national candidate for president for the Green Party is Jill Stein. And I listened to an interview this morning on BBC. Very well spoken, very articulate, very thorough. What do you think?
Well, I have to agree. And once again, though, although she's getting her message out very well on social media, the major networks frequently don't give her any airtime at all. And when they do, very often it's to talk about the race as if it's a horse race, what she's going to do to the other two candidates, rather than focusing on the issues.
Well, good. I tell you what. Let's talk about the issues. If you were to label priorities, what would I'll give you three of them. Give me the first one.
First one would be single-payer health care in New York State. I would certainly work to get Representative Godfrey's bill through the state Senate.
Interesting.
Right now, we really have gridlock in the state Senate where we can't get these bills out of committee. But certainly single-payer health care would be number one.
That's an interesting first response, Steve. Green Party's probably been around since late 70s, early 80s, right? It's got quite a footprint and really came into being because of the environment. So I thought you were going to go there first. Second priority.
Second priority would be implementing the Green New Deal in New York State. Howie Hawkins' platform, really where we want to create millions of jobs here in New York State, creating the infrastructure for full green transition to renewable energy. By 2030, we want to be 100% renewable, and it's doable. But what we need to do, we need to have employment offices rather than unemployment offices where people can go and get work. Nobody who's willing to work in this state should not be able to make a living. So we really, the Green New Deal, and part of that would be repealing cannabis prohibition and doing what we can to bring back the hemp industry in New York State for small farmers.
You know, had you said that as recently as I think a decade ago, people would be, oh yeah, renewable energy. Honestly, something I was reading recently is that renewable energy is not only here and now, but there is a tremendous move towards getting us away from fossil fuels. And because of the region we live in, I was following something in Vermont, there are really big initiatives underway for renewable energy. And that could happen in New York State.
Absolutely. And I think we need to subsidize low-income people. I mean, New York has a great system for people who have the capital to get tax breaks for solar energy. But really, what we need is solar energy for everyone. And the payback would be there. So that's what we need to do.
Got one more? Got another priority?
Oh, I certainly do. I would say number 3, but it's near the top, is certainly breaking corporate control of Albany.
Right.
So we need to get behind a constitutional amendment to repeal Citizens United. We need real campaign finance reform. We need for challengers like myself to be able to get our message out without having incumbents paying for tax-funded mailings sort of to tout their accomplishments. I mean, to me, that's using taxpayer money to brag about how you're spending taxpayer money, and I'm not in favor of that.
You know what? Bottom line here is we live in a democracy. Find out what the candidates stand for. Find out what the platforms are. Find out how they intend to pay for things. Vote SteveForSenate.com.
That's correct.
Vote SteveForSenate.com.
Yep, that's my website. Be a lot more information there. That links to a
Good.
Facebook page I update almost every day on policies and issues.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for coming in. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you, Jesse.
And
Likewise.
good luck.
I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.